Good evening. I'm pleased to call this special City Council meeting, the 2023 State of the City Address, to order. Per the City Charter, the Mayor is required to provide an annual presentation to Council with regards to the state of the city and looking forward to the year ahead. This is the only business for tonight's Council meeting. Please rise and remain standing for the posting of our nation's colors and the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Green High School Junior, Nevaeh Jenner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you to the Green Junior ROTC for your professionalism. I'd also like to thank all of our Green students for assisting in tonight's event, including the Green High School Band soloists, the Green High School Video Production Team, who's assisting with this production and the live stream, and our Green Municipal Student Representatives. All City Council members are in attendance for tonight's meeting, and at this time, I'm pleased to introduce our Mayor, Gerard Neugebauer.
Good evening, members of City Council, business leaders, and community members. This evening is special to me as I present my 8th and final State of the City address as your mayor. This past year, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of our incorporation as a city. This milestone inspired us to reflect on who we are, where we came from, and what we have accomplished as a community, including this relatively short period as a city. Many from our community reached out to share their stories, memories, and photographs. We'd like to begin this evening with some of these reflections.
30 years just doesn't seem like that long ago. I think a lot of people have forgotten. Late 86, 87 timeframe, Green Township at the time was subjected to annexation, actually the creation of a city consisting primarily of Coventry Township, Franklin, and sections of Green Township. And a small group of us, Ted Mallow, Frank Steele, Del Hafka, who was a township trustee at the time, actually assembled a group of lawyers and defined how we could fight off that attempt to annex sections of Green Township, we would have lost that.
The very first commission to investigate what form of government we would be, City of Green, I served on that. We researched dozens of Ohio cities. We got residents' input, and we made a recommendation for a strong mayor and city council, and all of that went on the ballot, and the residents got to approve that.
It was really a lot of fun to be with a group of people who wanted to see the city develop in the proper way and wanted to set the groundwork, the framework for years to come. So it was wonderful to be a part of the very beginning.
One of the memories I have of Green is I came from my dad. He was a township trustee, and it actually goes back more than 30 years ago. It's when they built the interstate through Green. And his statement was that, you know, you can't build an interstate through the middle of a community, put 3 exit ramps on it, and think the community is going to stay that way.
There's been a lot of improvements, walking trails, biking trails. The parks are fabulous. There's been a lot of improvements that have happened to make it a city. Remember, in 1992, we were simply a township that became a village that became a city. So there wasn't a lot of amenities that a normal city would provide. So those have come along over the last 30 years, and it's really been interesting to watch.
My first day here in Green, we had one park, and that was the Green Community and Senior Center, which is now known as the John Torok Community and Senior Center. So we went from a park that was just under 4 acres to a park system that is now over 700 acres.
When we built the central administration building, we also coordinated with the schools, and they put a wing on that building. And we really developed a relationship with the schools of sharing things and doing things together as a cooperative to help, actually, the taxpayers of Green help cut costs and save money. And those two entities between the school and the city working together has been a good thing over the years.
Love the roundabouts. I think the roundabouts are an answer to a very difficult problem that we've had in the city, transportation, and I think those things work wonderfully.
Having the opportunity to improve intersections with roundabouts, that didn't come in the beginning. That's sort of been middle and minimum of my career, because they just were evolving themselves as a well understood, well modeled alternative in the United States.
Obviously, I'm proud to be part of the city. I think it is still a great place to raise family, good community. I can tell you, in part, I think because of our relative youth, there's a certain modern professionalism that the city government has compared to maybe some of our competitors, if you will, in the area.
I'm just a proud resident of Green.
It is good to pause and reflect on our past and celebrate all that we have accomplished as a community. For all who shared the story this past year, thank you. And while we spent time reflecting on the past, we also spent time envisioning our future. What does Green look like in the next 5 years, 10 years, or perhaps 30 years? As a city, we continue to be blessed with strong financial performance year after year due to our diversified business community and a steadily growing residential population. We continue to prosper during any economic challenge. This prosperity was evident again in 2022, when our largest source of revenue, income tax, increased by $2.3 million to $29.3 million, an 8.7% increase over 2021. Let's reflect for a moment on this growth. 30 years ago, Green was largely a bedroom community. Many of our residents worked in nearby cities of Akron, Canton, and Barberton. At that time, our income tax revenue was low, as taxes are paid where you work, not where you live. As our business community grew, so did our income tax revenues as more people began working here. But things began to change in 2020. First, there was the impact of COVID. That started a shift, with more and more people working from home. As a result, municipal income tax has shifted, leaving many cities with declining income tax revenues. However, Green continues to be strong and growing because our mix of businesses and quality residential neighborhoods. After our income taxes decreased by 5.3% in that year 2020, we rebounded from COVID with a 14.9% increase in 2021. And in 2022, we watched trends in the workplace closely as our income taxes continued to grow at a rate of 8.7%. Our three-year growth rate in income tax from 2020 through 2022 was 4.6% annually, which trended higher than our pre-pandemic years. While income tax is our largest source of revenue, other sources include TIF collections, hotel bed taxes, federal and state grants, license fees, and others. In 2022, other revenue was $16.4 million, which is a slight decrease from 2021, largely due to the timing of grant funding. It is not uncommon to see large swings in other revenue due to the nature of some of the sources. For example, in 2020, other revenue topped $30.5 million after the city issued $10 million in bonds and received a federal grant money, both items related to the Maslin Road North project. We also received $2.1 million in CARES Act money that year. I mentioned tax increment financing earlier. Our TIF revenues have become a significant source of other revenue in recent years and continue to strengthen our financial position. TIF agreements allow property taxes to be diverted from the county to the city to fund public improvements in our infrastructure. TIF revenues have been steadily increasing over the last 7 years, from $1.5 million in 2015 to $3.5 million in 2022. After making payments to green schools and local developers, our net TIF revenues are used to pay off debt incurred for public infrastructure. In 2022, our other revenue included our second and final payment from the American Rescue Plan in the amount of $1.36 million, much of which was spent on road resurfacing projects, and $32,000 in opiate settlement funds from multiple sources, the first of annual payments to be dispensed to the city over the next 17 years. Our total revenue was $45.7 million, or a 2.48% increase over 2021. When I took office in 2016, the city held $60.5 million in debt. And while debt is often necessary to fund a growing city, it must be kept in check to ensure we don't rob from our future. Today, the city holds $45.4 million in debt, a $15 million reduction, as we have been disciplined in paying down our debt while being prudent in issuing new debt. It has been our policy to only incur debt when making significant public improvements that promote economic expansion. Another key to ensuring financial future is controlling spending. In 2022, our operating expenses were $35.9 million, including $4.4 million in debt service. That left us $11.1 million to spend on capital projects. Capital projects in 2022 included road resurfacing and maintenance, park projects, Maslin Road South intersection project, the Arlington Greensburg roundabout, and new equipment for our fire and service divisions. By controlling our operating expenses and balancing our capital spending, we finished the year with $23.5 million in our general fund, allowing us to maintain a $20 million operating reserve through 2023. Green has been rewarded for our strong fiscal approach and performance by securing a AAA revenue bond rating for the last 17 years, providing us opportunity to use debt for significant infrastructure and other capital projects at the lowest possible borrowing rates. Green continues to be fiscally stable, strong, and in a position to invest in our future. Invariably, the top reason many of us move to Green is our top-rated schools, which perhaps explains why voters in Green have approved every school levy in the past 12 years. Last May, voters approved a 37-year, $68 million bond issue to modernize our school buildings. New elementary and middle schools will replace 3 schools: Greenwood, Green Intermediate, and Green Middle, all 50 years old and older. This investment in our community certainly comes at the right time for Green. It has been 17 years since our last significant investment in our schools, when Green Primary School opened. Our new Green High School opened in 1996, with a major expansion completed 10 years later in 2006. For many of us, it feels like it was just yesterday, but let me put this into perspective. The first class to graduate from our new high school celebrated their 25th class reunion just last year. And the initial class of first grade students at our new primary school recently completed college. Moving forward, these new schools are clearly needed to offer safe, effective learning spaces with modern technology. Thank you to all who supported this tax levy. Thank you for investing in our children and our community's future. Last January, at the State of the City, we shared a vision for the community courts, a facility that would provide additional activity space for our community and serve as gym space for the new middle school. The concept emerged as our school board worked to determine how much funding would be needed to fund our new schools. Everyone wanted to ensure the levy provided sufficient funding to build modern, quality educational space, but also very mindful to not overburden our taxpayers. Even with this new tax levy, Green has the lowest property taxes in Summit County. We often hear from our residents that we do not have enough activity space during the winter months. Our residents enjoy the best park system in the region during the summer, but have limited opportunities to maintain an active lifestyle during the winter. The burden for indoor activity space has traditionally fallen upon our schools, primarily in the school gymnasiums. But in our growing community, there are not enough facilities or hours in a week to meet the demands of our youth and adult leagues. The partnership between the city and the school district create a unique opportunity for our community. The city will design, build, and manage the community courts, including gymnasium space needed for the new Green Middle School. And our school district can maximize the use of state funding for educational purposes, including 2 additional classrooms per grade and an expanded choir and band area. With the city building a gym plus extra courts, a turf practice field, studio space for fitness classes, and an indoor walking track, our entire community benefits, not just families with school-aged children. 30 years ago, our city founders understood that a great park system would help make Green a great place to live. They allocated 15% of income tax revenues to buy parkland and invest in park improvements. Today, we celebrate the fruits of this vision as we look to our future. Investing in the community courts will add much needed and requested indoor recreation space and add significant value to our park system. In short, I believe adding this facility to our award-winning parks will make Green a better place to live, work, and play. Our original plan was to build a separate building for the community courts near the new middle school. It was envisioned that the community courts would be built only after the existing intermediate school was vacated and demolished, perhaps 4 to 5 years after construction started on the new schools. Then last October, the district's architect suggested that the district could build the new middle school while classes continued in the existing intermediate and middle schools, compressing the school construction schedule to 2 years and creating less disruption for our students and staff. They also proposed that the community courts could be built as part of the middle school, providing cost savings of $3 to $4 million for the project. In early December, Green City Council approved a contract with the district's architect to design the community courts. We are now working to complete the design of the community courts by late summer, with construction to begin later this fall. And while we didn't anticipate this compressed time frame, it will in the end serve our community well. We'll be saving time and money and begin using the community courts much sooner than originally anticipated. The estimated cost to build the community courts is $14.9 million. How the city funds this project will be decided by City Council. I propose we pay a significant portion, perhaps $750,000 a year, from our Parks Capital Fund, which now by charter receive 7% of income taxes annually. The Park Capital Fund was used to purchase Raintree Golf and Event Center in 2018, with $600,000 annual payments through 2024. The bond payments for the community courts would most likely begin in 2025, when the Park Capital Fund no longer has this financial commitment. With our income taxes topping $29 million for the first time in 2022, our annual Park Capital funding continues to rise, exceeding $2 million for the first time. $14.9 million is, of course, a huge investment, and taking debt should be reserved for special circumstances. But I think this is a special circumstance. And I look at it this way. When many of us bought our first home, our house payment seemed like a large sum of money when we first started our careers. But over the years, our income grew, and the percentage of income that went into our house payment was reduced significantly. It's a simple analogy, but hopefully it helps put this into perspective. Not only is this the right time to invest in this project, but our financial outlook has never been stronger. One area of continual investment in the City of Greene is our infrastructure. Under the 27-year leadership of our city engineer, Paul Pickett, Greene has become a regional leader in developing our transportation corridors by adding capacity, improving safety, and providing connectivity. In December, ODOT held their 6th annual Ohio Roundabout Conference in Greene. As mayor of the host city, I was invited to share some of my experiences in developing roundabouts in our community, including our newest and perhaps, as I termed it, the crowd favorite, the Greensburg-Arlington Roundabout. Opened in late October, I must admit this is one of the most beautifully landscaped roundabouts, and one that most people agree provided the operational and safety improvements that have been needed for a long time. Being a civil engineer, I love our single-lane roundabouts because they operate so efficiently and make our roads so much safer. As for our multi-lane roundabouts, I love the fact that they virtually eliminate severe and fatal accidents while significantly improving the traffic flow. In addition to building Arlington Greensburg Roundabout in 2022, we started construction on the Maslin Road South Improvement Project. And while not as big a construction zone as the recently completed Maslin Road North project, it certainly is more impactful to traffic, as this section of Maslin Road is our busiest section of road in Greene, topping 27,500 cars daily. Unfortunately, the Maslin Road South project started slowly due to a few material supply issues. As a result, the project completion date will most likely move from fall to spring of 2024. We will continue to ensure that traffic moves efficiently through the construction corridor, and we will continue to keep motorists informed of what they can expect when driving through the corridor for the remaining phases of construction. This is the final project currently scheduled along Maslin Road Primary Development Corridor. Our next major improvement project will be along the Arlington Road Development Corridor from 619 to Bettler Road. We have secured $9 million in federal funds to build the roadway, much like the Maslin Road North, with 2 lanes of traffic in each direction, using roundabouts and median islands to improve efficiency and safety. Last year, we were awarded $2.6 million in safety funds to improve the intersection of Arlington Road and Mount Pleasant Road. This intersection had been the site of several motor vehicle fatalities through the years, the most recent occurring in 2021. We studied accident reports and learned that the intersection did, in fact, have a higher rate of accidents and more severe accidents than was originally reported by AMATS, because the intersection straddles Summit and Stark counties. By combining data from the 2 counties, we were able to secure federal safety funds to upgrade this intersection in 2025. And while we are just beginning to develop design concepts for the intersection, it appears that a roundabout may be the best alternative to improve safety. This year, the Stark County engineer will begin construction of a roundabout at the intersection of Mayfair and Mount Pleasant. And yes, our neighbors to the south are beginning to build roundabouts too. With 91% of the project costs being funded by federal and state grants, the City of Greene and Stark County engineer are splitting the remaining local share of the project cost. Many of you may be thinking, I just love roundabouts. And perhaps you've heard the fun nicknames out there, such as Mayor Neugebauer. Well, I do love them, But we don't build them because I like them, or because our city engineer likes them. We build them because they work. A roundabout can increase the capacity of an intersection by 50% when compared to a traditional signalized intersection. Roundabouts almost entirely eliminate both serious and fatal accidents. In fact, according to the Federal Highway Administration, there are only approximately 3 deaths in roundabouts nationwide each year. Roundabouts save gas, reduce emissions, and save time. They are cheaper to maintain because we need fewer lanes of pavement to move the same amount of vehicles. For example, by converting the Maslin Road intersection at Bettler Road and Corporate Circle to roundabouts, only 4 lanes of pavement are needed. 9 lanes of traffic would have been required if we had opted to build traditional signalized intersections, and many of the businesses along the corridor would have been impacted by the wider roadway. Roundabouts with 4 lanes of pavement and a center median are cheaper to build, cheaper to maintain, and will be far more visually appealing. There is a project being undertaken right now by the Summit County engineer, and for many of you who live in the southwest part of the city, it's the bridge on Chrisman Road. Happy to report that that construction will begin in April and will be completed in early fall of this year. And a final project that was introduced last year and now underway is Southwood Drive extension to the east of Arlington Road. This road is being built by the developer to provide direct access to St. Edwards and Spring Hill development. But the project will also improve access to Arlington Road from Southwood Drive to the west by adding a temporary traffic signal at the intersection. The city will then complete the connection of Southwood Drive to Tabbs Drive to the east, which will help ease traffic in the area and specifically on Bettler Road. As we plan new developments and neighborhoods, our city planners, developers, and engineers work together to find where additional road connections are needed. New connections, like Southwood Drive, improve traffic conditions in our city by providing better ways to get to our favorite parks, stores, restaurants, and schools. Commercial development continues to attract and retain jobs in Greene. In 2022, we had 2 existing Greene businesses begin construction of new offices. Raygon Chiropractic opened its new offices on Arlington Road earlier this month. And Direction Home, our local area agency on aging, is expanding in Greene with the construction of a 35,000 square foot office building on Ton Park Boulevard. We are pleased that these businesses consider Greene their home and chose to grow here. This year, we are seeing investment in residential housing with a diversity of housing options that appeal to many of our residents, from young professionals to our seniors. We continue to see growth in single-family subdivisions, including Spring Hill, Briar Creek, Forest Lakes, New Seasons, and Jacobs Ridge. Phase 2 of Briar Creek is currently being developed with 46 single-family homes. New Seasons is in its final phase of development with 74 single-family homes. Jacobs Ridge, located off Bettler Road, directly across from Meadowwood, is being developed by Pulte Homes with 65 homes in Phase 1. There will be a total of 166 single-family homes in the development once all phases are complete. The Forest Lakes planned development on the north end of Tabbs Drive recently started construction in its 3rd phase. This development is a mixture of 77 single-family detached homes and 146 owner-occupied townhomes being constructed in 4 phases. We are also seeing investment in our community fulfilling the demand for luxury apartments. The Park View at Spring Hill Farms, along the Southwood Drive extension, and VC Station on State Route 619 are currently being constructed to cater to professionals and families not currently interested in home ownership, but who desire the amenities and access to all Greene has to offer. Combined, these properties will add just over 500 units. The recent census shows that Greene is one of the fastest growing cities in the region. However, our population is only growing at a 0.6% annual rate, adding 1,500 people in the last decade. And while we did grow faster than other communities in Summit County, we feel it's because of all the value Greene has to offer. Great schools, great quality of life with access to parks and amenities, easy access to I-77, equidistant between Akron and Canton, and easy access to the Akron-Canton Airport. I understand that with population growth comes concerns about providing municipal services. Much like we plan our infrastructure, we also plan for safety services as we see growth in the number of commercial and residential properties. Safety is by far the most important service we provide. We are blessed to have a dedicated staff of first responders who keep us safe and secure. Led by Chief Jeff Revenues, our fire division responded to just over 5,000 calls for service in 2022, an average of 13.8 calls per day, and about the same volume in prior year 2021. Approximately 80% of all calls are for EMS response. Our community paramedic initiated an additional 250 wellness visits to our most vulnerable population, including many of our seniors. Our community paramedic also serves on our quick response team that visits home where we received an EMS call related to drug or alcohol abuse. Unfortunately, drug overdoses, well down from the peak of the opiate epidemic in 2016, still exist in our community. Our EMS teams administered Narcan, the life-saving drug that reverses an opiate overdose, 46 times last year. We received daily updates from Summit County Public Health with the number of overdoses, and unfortunately, these numbers continue to be somber. In 2022, 252 Summit County residents lost their lives to overdoses, a number that has been consistent over recent years. It saddens me that drug addiction is still prevalent. Our city will continue to fight for those who struggle with addiction. One fight that we are winning is a fight against fatalities from cardiac arrests. Under the leadership of Chief Jeff Revenues and Medical Director Ross Campensa, our fire division has developed a leading-edge cardiac resuscitation protocol. Greene is only the second fire department in the state to implement this technology and training program that improved our resuscitation rates to triple the national average in 2022. Our latest resuscitation techniques improve blood flow to the heart and brain, providing better neurological outcomes as well. As a community, we are blessed with some of the most highly skilled and professional fire medics in the region. I can assure you that you are in good hands when you need their care. In 2022, our fire division took delivery of our new aerial platform to replace our 25-year-old ladder truck. The newer truck has better turning and braking capabilities, and the ladder extends to 100 feet, 25 feet more than our previous truck. The $1.4 million purchase was supported in part by $421,000 from our Nexus Settlement Fund. In 2022, City Council also authorized $1.2 million to replace our 30-year-old heavy rescue truck, using an additional $880,000 from our Nexus Settlement Fund. Our heavy rescue truck carries technical equipment for cutting, lifting, and shoring to support rescue missions. This new truck will also feature an onboard pump to add fire suppression capabilities as well. It is truly incredible that we were able to replace both trucks without impacting our general fund. Thank you to City Council for continuing to provide our emergency responders with the most up-to-date training, technology, tools, and equipment. I want to recognize our Fire Chief, Jeff Revenues, and Captain Josh Compton, both deployed in early October with Ohio Task Force 1 for the search, rescue, and recovery efforts in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, following Hurricane Ian. Each year, members of our fire division deploy on these missions, which not only provide life-saving services, but also provide an opportunity to hone their skills and broaden their training. Thank you, gentlemen, for setting an example of commitment and service for our entire team. Thank you. Our fire medics are supported by an incredible team of dispatchers from South Summit Dispatch Center, formed by the South Summit Council of Governments in 2020. The Dispatch Center provides emergencies dispatch services from our Greene Fire Station number 1 to communities of Greene, Coventry, New Franklin, Lakemore, and Clinton. I'm happy to report that Springfield, the last political subdivision in southern Summit County, has signed an agreement to begin receiving dispatch services this year. Personally, this collaboration has been both challenging and rewarding, and the results saving taxpayers and improving quality of service for all the communities of southern Summit County are certainly proof that it was worth the effort. Our city continues to be served by the Summit County Sheriff's Department for policing. To meet the safety concerns of our residents, we have doubled the number of deputies on patrol during peak hours of activity, increasing from 3 to 6 deputies. Last fall, we added 2 new deputies, Bobby Bowen, the handler, and Nero, the canine deputy. I hear you, Nero. Nero is trained for multiple patrol-related services, including narcotic searches, article searches, human searches and tracking, and aggression control. Please join me in appreciation to Sheriff Candy Fothery and her team for their service to the City of Greene. Thank you. Along with safety and schools, the amenity that is at the top of everyone's list in Greene is our parks. In 2022, we added several new features to our parks. At Bettler Park, we finished resurfacing and added lighting on our pickleball and tennis courts. As you may know, I'm an avid pickleball player, but this isn't the main reason we decided to light these courts. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America, and our pickleball courts are full of residents of all ages, but particularly our older residents. The lights were added to allow for tennis and pickleball play after dark. This extends play when our days are shorter in the spring and fall and allows for later play on summer evenings when temperatures become more tolerable. We added 2 flag football fields at Ayers Park to consolidate all our youth football activities, flag, tackle, and cheer, in one location. This frees up space in Greensburg Park to build yet 2 more youth baseball fields. We also have plans to add a 3rd baseball field at Klettner Park in 2023, where we most recently renovated the parking lot. The improved lot not only provides more parking spaces, but also increases safety with clearly marked parking stalls, crosswalks, and paths to the ball fields. Other improvements at Klettner Park, including restroom facilities, are planned in the coming years. In addition, we added a new feature at Southgate Park. Our drug task force led the efforts to establish a mindful walk along existing trails within Southgate Park. The 10-station guided walk encourages mental wellness by practicing mindfulness. Student representatives on the drug task force, along with our mental health subcommittee, spearheaded the effort, including securing a grant from the Summit County ADM Board. Thank you to all who made this project a reality. 6 years ago, our community development administrator, Sarah Herring, discovered a program that she thought would really benefit our community. That program became the model for our Student Municipal Representative Program, which assigns 30 high school students annually to our city boards, commissions, and task forces. Now in our 7th year of the program, more than 85 students have participated, most of whom have served multiple years. From the students' perspective, this program has opened their eyes to the accessibility of government and helped them understand the thought, planning, and effort that goes into the leadership of a highly effective city. The students ask thoughtful questions and provide a new perspective on issues before the boards and commissions. It's great to see our board and commission members serve as mentors to these young people. 3 years later, Sarah Herring was back again, this time proposing that we create a Mayor's Junior Council, a select group of returning senior student municipal representatives. I have the pleasure of meeting with these students monthly to discuss leadership and various community topics. These students also select an annual community project. The current Mayor's Junior Council is launching a podcast series to share their perspective on what is happening in our city. It is truly a pleasure to work with these smart, engaging young adults who provide a perspective and energy that we can all learn from.
During my government classes, they always talk about how important local government is, but you kind of blow that off as I don't see much with local government, it's always state and federal. But going to the meetings and actually being a part of it, you realize how important the local side of government actually is.
Since like 7th or 8th grade, I was always interested in what happens in the city and how things are done. There was always time for the student volunteers. That was like the part of every single meeting, and I liked that organization. And we were always asked our beliefs, how we feel, so that was really neat.
I had the opportunity to attend the State of the City address. It was a great time. I just ended up sitting with a bunch of like random adults who all thought I was like worked for the city. You know, I had my little name tag, and that was really fun. And then I got to talk to Mayor Neugebauer about roundabouts. It got really heated really fast. You could tell he's very passionate about the issue.
My life was shaped by coming here and learning about government firsthand, and this experience as a student municipal representative let me secure other internships in politics, and it really just made me more interested in public service, which is why I'm going to Ohio State to study public policy in the fall.
This program allows you to interact with the community in a way that other programs don't allow you to. You're able to interact with the people that are making decisions in your community in person, and that type of experience is hard to find.
Like if you would have told me before I was on the Mayor's Junior Council that I'd just have conversations with the mayor and I'd see the mayor at school events and he'd come up to me and people would be like, you know the mayor? I would be like, no way. But now that's like normal. I guess I probably didn't know where each ward was before. Now I kind of know that. And then even just like the first few meetings, hearing Paul Pickett like just naturally know every road in Greene basically, I was like, how does he know all this? I don't even know the road next to the one I live on.
I really liked enjoying the people on the boards and commissions and how important the relationships were and friendships that we had.
It was a little bit daunting to join this program, but interesting to see how willing the city of Greene is to listen to residents. So that was very eye-opening for me.
I really like knowing what's going on in my city. I think it's just kind of like a baseline now. It's not like I feel like it's my civic responsibility to know what's going on.
These two programs and these students are things that I'm going to miss the most when I am no longer mayor. Thank you to our student reps for your service to our community. I know that one day our student reps will be leaders in their communities, perhaps even here in Greene, as future board members, council members, or even mayor. 7 years ago, I gave my first State of the City address and shared a personal story from my childhood about gathering tangerines. In brief, when tangerines were on the lunch menu at elementary school, I would gather up all the ones that the other students didn't want to eat. For me, my parents, and 8 siblings, fresh fruit was a real treat. So I would often gather enough to take home to share. The point of my story was that all of us have something to give or share with others. Sharing this story was meant to help launch a renewed commitment to volunteerism in our community. Service to others is the most precious gift anyone can give, and our community truly exemplifies the spirit of giving. As mayor, I wanted to continue to foster this need to give from the heart. In 2018, our service director, Valerie Wax-Carr, initiated an Adopt a Spot program where individuals, families, and organizations would plant and maintain flower beds in our parks and public spaces. Last year, there were 30 Adopt a Spot locations throughout the city. In 2020, we found ourselves in a global pandemic, creating conditions that we had not experienced before. That year, 250 individuals from our community signed up to serve others by making and distributing masks, calling and checking on a senior, or collecting food. Some of the relationships that were established during COVID have been maintained as friendships to this day. In 2021, we initiated a Park Ambassador program. Our park ambassadors spend a lot of time in our parks, picking up trash, assisting in city events, identifying park features in need of service or repair, or just being a resource in the parks for our park visitors. This program allows volunteers to work on their own schedule as they have time, and has grown from 18 ambassadors in our first year to 29 ambassadors by the end of 2022. And already this month, we've added our 30th member to the Park Ambassador program. This past year, we honored one of our park ambassadors, Bob Bussey, as the City of Green Volunteer of the Year. Bob logged an amazing number of hours keeping our city beautiful, sometimes up to 20 hours in a week. I have seen him picking up litter along our city streets, most recently on Arlington and Bettler roads. His commitment to serving his community is truly his passion. These are just a few examples of selfless giving that we see in our community. From our boards and task force members, our volunteer youth coaches, and those who volunteer their talents and treasures to our nonprofits, like Green Good Neighbors or Blessings in a Backpack. Green has the heart of service, and we thank everyone for their part in making us such a special community. Creating this place to thrive and fostering hope and support is what separates great communities from just being a nice place to live. Through the years, our community has rallied together at times to do great things, things that served us then, now, and well into our future. Today, I am pleased to announce that we are taking the next steps to foster investment in green. This month, we are launching the Green Community Fund. This fund will be administered by the Akron Community Foundation and will serve as a financial backbone for investing in our community. It will serve our city for generations to come, managed by Green residents for the benefit of Green residents. Our 2023 goal is aggressive. We are looking to create an endowment of $1 million by December 31st of 2023. Once we reach this mark, 5% annually will be available to invest in our community, supporting community projects and programs. Much of what we have invested in over the years has limited time spans. Our roads and school buildings, for example, that we build today will someday need to be replaced. Safety vehicles will eventually tire and grow obsolete, but this fund will continue to grow and live on forever to the benefit of our community. And the investment that we make in people will be compounded, enriching generation after generation, bringing our vision of investing in the future full circle. As my time as your mayor wraps up, I am thankful for being part of shaping the future of this city, and that I am proud to call home. Whether it's our strong financial position, our modern transportation system, our incredible park system, especially with the addition of Raintree Golf and Event Center and our planned community courts, our robust safety services, our regional collaboration, our drug task force, our paramedicine program, our great green schools, and our promising students who represent our future, and fostering a culture of service and giving. We've accomplished so much, but in other ways we have just begun as we continue to build a vision for our future. I look forward to watching as the seeds of hard work and years of planning continue to bloom. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Good night, and God bless.